judgment on others. There is this subreddit that exists, r/am I the a-hole. I'm not gonna say the word, but for the sake of this video, let's just say, am I the jerk? Let's do that. And I thought it would be kind of interesting, entertaining. I sorted by the top posts for the last month. I opened up about 6 of them here, and we're going to read through them. I'm going to give my opinion. I would love it if you guys gave your opinion as well. And we'll see what some of the comments say, but I want to pass my own judgment before we get to the comments. So, let's get into it here with the first one. Am I the jerk for abandoning my parents at an island in the Caribbean so I could get back to our cruise in time? Now, a quick note. As with all stories on the internet, take everything here with a grain of salt. A lot of this stuff is fake. A lot of these are fake stories, fake situations. People either venting frustrations about something that happened in their life or just trying to get internet points, you know. But for the sake of this video, let's take it at face value. Let's suspend our disbelief. I graduated from high school back in December, so this person's probably 18 or 19 years old. As a gift, my parents got me a cruise. It was also for my 18th birthday. Okay, so they're 18. It was also a family vacation. We usually stay at all-inclusive resorts, but I've always wanted to go on a cruise. So it's saying we usually stay at all-inclusive resorts is maybe somebody with a little bit of money, maybe upper middle class, upper class. Not that that'll factor into the story, but it might factor into parental behaviors. I told my parents it was different, and that if we went on excursions, we'd follow the schedule no matter what. That's very true. I've never gone on a cruise, but I kind of do want to go on one. It just seems interesting. I want to give it a try to see if I like it or not. So I've done some research into them. Well, it was a week-long cruise, and they would not head back to the ship when I said it was time to go. They were busy shopping and bargaining with the locals. I finally said I was heading back to the ship. My mom waved me off. They missed the departure by a lot, like 45 minutes. They got a hold of me through WhatsApp. They wanted to know why I didn't get the boat to wait for them. See, right away, this feels like it might be fake, but if you have some people with narcissistic tendencies, especially maybe those upper middle class yuppie types, that's a stereotype. That's not true for everybody, so I shouldn't say that, but the idea that your 18-year-old child, I'm assuming daughter just based on the way they're writing, maybe son, but I'm gonna assume daughter. I don't know why, it's just the vibe I get. Well, both the expectation that they would stop a cruise ship that has a set schedule for just 2 people when there are thousands of people on a cruise ship, but also that an 18-year-old would either have the authority, ability, or bravery, social etiquette to try and do that is it's just completely ridiculous. I wanted to scream that they were not going to inconvenience 3,998 people because 2 can understand what a schedule was. ended up having to fly to the next port from there, and it was expensive. They are pissed at me for leaving them behind. I don't know what I was supposed to do. They literally told me that they knew what they were doing. I wish I'd never asked her this. They made me miserable because I left without them. Yeah, I mean, in this case, this person is not the jerk. They're not in the wrong whatsoever. Obviously, this is a huge armchair psychology thing, but to me, this kind of seems like some sort of narcissistic parent. And I don't know like the term for this, but I feel like sometimes there are certain people, when they see other people being happy or getting what they want or being the center of attention, they have to do something to either disrupt that or create a negative situation to bring the focus back onto themselves or to bring the other person down. And yes, even with their own children, unfortunately. So yeah, this just seems like two nightmare parents. But again, let me know what you think. I can't imagine many of you will be on the parent side. This one feels very cut and dry. Not the jerk. They seriously think that the ship will delay for 45 minutes. Yeah, no. The dachshund ship have a schedule to keep their adults and be responsible for getting back on time. Something you have figured out in less than 6 months of being an adult. I've been on a cruise, make it crystal clear the ship waits for no one. Projection is a major defense mechanism for people who've never learned emotional regulation skills. Yes, that's true. They will wait if buses and tours that are provided by the company are delayed. Yep, that's totally a different situation. Yeah, okay, on to the next one. This was pretty cut and dry. This one might be a little more, am I the jerk for tricking my brother into selling me his half of our childhood home and then demolishing it? My mom and dad divorced when I was young. My brother loved the fact that our mom had no rules for him, so he went with her. I abided by the custody agreement because I had no choice in the matter. My mom loves us both, but she dotes on my brother like he farts perfume. See, this, just based on that opening statement, this feels like a fake story about somebody just venting frustrations about their sibling, but my dad kept the house. He had to buy my mom out. It was an old house built in 1953. It had old wiring and was really less than suitable for modern life. What it did have, though, was a huge yard that was great growing up. Yeah, I grew up in a house that was about 20 minutes from the nearest town. And we had a backyard with, it went down a hill, and then we had like walking trails, and we had a little creek in the backyard. And as a kid, that was really beneficial. Now I live in a big city, and you rarely see kids playing outside here, but when I was growing up, you know, first of all, you had the safety of being in a very rural location. I only had 6 neighbors, and everybody knew everybody. But, you know, there was like nobody, we were so out of the way, strangers never just came out that way. Nobody could get there accidentally, and I would come home from school and grab a stick and go in the backyard, and like I could be a knight or a wizard, and I was like, you know, doing this imagination play. as a little kid, and I think that was really beneficial for my development, and that's something I feel like kids nowadays don't really do. When I have a kid, I really want to make sure I'm able to encourage that. Anyways, my dad passed away during COVID. He left everything equally between my brother and I. I wanted the house. I told my brother that we should tear it down and put in infill housing like the neighborhood is zoned for. He just wanted money. I bought out his half the house at the market value. It was sold as a teardown. He took the money and bought a car and went on a vacation. He still has money left. Okay, so it seems like the brother got what he wanted. Then I had the house demolished and I built a fourplex. Each unit has 3 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, a small yard, and a garage. I kept one unit for myself and rent each of the other units for $2,000 a month. My mortgage is $1,800 a month for the entire thing, so basically I live rent-free and bank $4,000 a month. My brother is pissed that I didn't give him a unit to live in for him since it was his home too. I actually offered to sell him one at cost and he said no. I'm lost. I offered him a partnership. I paid a fair price. I offered to sell him a unit. I did everything to try and be fair. He thinks I tricked him because I get free money every month. Our mom said she would be cutting me out of her will and giving everything to him if I didn't give him a unit or the income from one. I agreed that was fair and said I no longer feel the need to contribute to her upkeep or retirement when the time came. I'm being bombarded by the two of them, but I took the risk. I took on the debt. This is my money now. See, this is one of those trickier ones. Okay, let's see. I told my brother that we should tear it down and put in infill housing like the neighborhood is zoned for. So there isn't a ton of details here. If he laid out this plan to his brother, if he was like, hey, I want to build a fourplex, live in one, collect rent on the others, like if he was upfront about that, and at that point he's like, you know, we can go 50-50 on this, split the costs, split the income, like he alludes to later if that did happen. But the brother just wanted the instant gratification of the payout, then no, they did nothing wrong. This feels like it could be a situation of miscommunication. Maybe the person posting this wasn't completely upfront about their intentions. If they were just like, oh yeah, let's tear the house down, build something new, but they didn't get into their fourplex rental idea, then in that instance I would say that they were hiding things. And in that case they would be in the wrong. Because honestly, offering to sell him a unit, which you would then be profiting off of, is not the same thing as, when you had 50-50 ownership, detailing this plan, and maybe you live in one unit, he lives in one unit, and the other 2 are rented, instead of you renting 3. Obviously you're making less money, considerably less money in that arrangement. But in my opinion, if he was upfront about his intentions and the brother still declined, then no, he did nothing wrong. But if he did not detail out that plan about the fourplexes, then yes, he is in the wrong. Even though I think the mom is, I'm not even factoring that in. Let's see what people say. disagree. I've even offered to sell him a unit now at market value. He's not have enough and he can't qualify for a mortgage. If he had come in at the beginning, we could have each have a unit for ourselves and $2,000 a month, or income from our other unit with zero mortgage. Okay. Yeah, okay, so if that is true and they offered that up front, then yeah, they did nothing wrong. Yeah, I don't think they did anything wrong then in that instance. That feels pretty cut and dry, like I said, if that is what happened, but let me know what you think. On to the next one. Am I the jerk for what I said? My family won't let me share any good news because of my sister's disability, okay? I am a 26-year-old female. I have an older sister who's 32 who had a tragic accident 3 years ago that left her paralyzed from the waist down. Oof. Okay. So heavy stuff there. It's been rough for everyone, but especially for her, of course. Our family rallied around her, helping out as much as we can. And I've been there every step of the way because I love her so much. But since the accident, it feels like I don't deserve to have any good things happen to me. Or at least I'm not allowed to talk about them. Every time something positive happens in my life, I get shut down by my family. When I got a promotion at work last year, I was so happy and excited to tell them. I thought my family would be happy for me, but when I tried to share the news, my mom pulled me aside and told me not now because my sister had a tough day. I ended up keeping it to myself. This is something I have actually, not to this degree, but this is something I've experienced firsthand. Personally, now I don't like to talk about this stuff too much. I've touched on it a little bit, but you guys know I got divorced a few years ago. My ex-wife suffered from borderline personality disorder, as well as treatment-resistant depression, which is depression that is not made better with the use of any medication. And I know that feeling of constantly having to be walking on eggshells because if something good happens to you, they take it as something bad happening to them, and I lived with that for 6 years. And unfortunately, a lot of the time what can happen is the family around that person can enable that behavior, and that feels like what's happening here. So like, her family, whenever we were around them, everything was always just negative all the time. Oh, this is terrible, this thing's going wrong, this is gonna go wrong. And it was always bad 24/7, and you were never allowed to say anything to the contrary of that, or else you would be the bad guy. And I feel like that can develop when something tragic like this happens. Because for this family now, like, their entire purpose, their entire reason for living is now supporting this paralyzed person. It gives them a purpose or whatever. But they're neglecting the negatives of that, because if you're constantly feeding into this cycle of negativity, you're not actually helping that person. If you get paralyzed tragically, the goal isn't to mope around all day and be depressed and be like, oh no, I'm paralyzed, my life is ruined. The goal is to find a way to live as much of a normal life as you can. That's why, you have things like people saying I'm handy-capable, not handicapped. You have the Paralympics, you have wheelchair basketball, right? Like, ways to feel normal, because, not to minimize it, but it happened 3 years ago. At some point, you had to be like, okay, this terrible thing happened to me, my life is permanently altered, but I am still alive, and at some point, you have to start living again, right? It's been 3 years. You have to start living again. You have to be a person. You have to get out in the world. But it feels like her family is almost feeding into that and not letting her recover. 8 months ago, my boyfriend proposed. When I told them, my mom immediately changed the subject, later telling me that my sister is feeling down about her own marriage struggles. It's like anything good in my life is an offense to my sister's situation. Yeah. This happened a few days ago. I've been saving up for years to buy my first car. I finally managed to do it, and I was so excited. I thought my family would be so happy for me, so I decided to tell them. As soon as the words were out of my mouth, the room went dead silent. My mom whispered to me, "This isn't the time. Think about your sister." My sister looked so sad, and I suddenly felt like the worst person in the world. I just couldn't handle it anymore, and I said, "Can't I share anything good in my life? I thought you'd all be happy for me." No one knew what to say, and I left the house. I'd never done that before, and I'm filled with regret and confusion. I love my sister and I never want to hurt her, but it feels like I'm not allowed to have anything good happen to me. It's getting to the point where I feel like I'm walking on eggshells all the time. Yep, I understand that. I understand my sister's life changed drastically, and I'm genuinely supportive, and I've always been there for her, but sometimes I just want to be able to share my own life too. I feel so guilty for him feeling this way, like I'm being selfish or inconsiderate. Her husband and even my parents share things about their lives freely, and no one seems to mind, but as the younger sister, I'm not allowed to share anything good in front of her so I don't hurt her feelings. I get it, I really do. I understand she's going through a lot. I don't want to add to her pain, but it feels like I'm not allowed to have any joy in my life, around my family. Yeah, this person did nothing wrong. It feels like, the sister, I have to word this carefully to not come across as harsh. But it feels like, in a way, the sister is using her disability. I have to say this very carefully. She is using her disability as a way to avoid criticism of herself and to put others down, because she knows, like, if anybody tries to say anything, it's just like, oh, well, I'm paralyzed, so, you know, because it's like, that's 3 or 4 separate occasions where every time it's like, oh, she's not feeling good, she's struggling right now. It's like, does she ever feel good? Does she have any days where she's happy to wake up in the morning? Like I said, I know it's a tragic thing, but it's been 3 years, and at some point you have to turn it around. Like, you know, I know people who their husband or wife died tragically in a car accident or something, and they were in really dark, terrible places for years, but eventually, one day, they go back to work, they go out on a date, they go out with friends, they laugh again, they smile again, you know, eventually those wounds heal. And I feel like even with a disability, that's gotta heal. I don't know, maybe that's inconsiderate of me, let me know, but I don't think this person did anything wrong. I'm curious, how does your sister feel about all this? Is she genuinely hurt whenever you share these positive things? Or is your mom just being overprotective and jumping the gun? That's a good... Has there always been this kind of dynamic between you and your sister before this? My sister never says anything. It's always my mom who jumps in to tell me off, followed by reasons why. Whenever I try to discuss things with my sister, my parents tell me not to. Yeah, that's weird. That feels like a toxic mother. More than the sister, maybe. an overachieving older sister who's now disabled. Yeah. I don't want to see other people's opinions here. It's gone off on a tangent. Yeah. I'm just gonna say, in my opinion, I don't think this person did anything wrong. But okay, we're on to the next one. Alright, so on to the last one. Here we're getting close to half an hour. Am I the jerk for reporting a child licking the sauce dispensers at Costco? I went to Costco and bought a hot dog for myself and my husband. After waiting in line, I went to the sauce dispensers to get some mustard. I saw a child licking her fingers, eating the sauce off them, and then proceeding to wipe them on the sauce dispensers, where the sauce comes out. Repeating the same thing several times with all three sauce dispensers. I decided not to confront the child or say anything to her family to avoid causing trauma and embarrassing the child. Instead, I told the staff about the incident. A staff member came out and asked who did it. I pointed the child, probably should have kept quiet, but oh well. The staff member confronted the family, which was a big group of two women and their children of various ages. The child who did this is about 6 to 7 years old. The family then confronted me, asking why I didn't tell them directly, and went straight to the staff. I politely explained that my concern was food safety, and that's all, so I wasn't looking to confront anyone. They didn't believe me, said I must hate children. So the next few minutes telling Army not let me put a word in. I reiterate that my concern is only food safety. I don't want to spill saliva in my sauces. Staff member then told them he could check the CCTV, which calmed the family down. Okay, this feels like the staff member did something wrong. More than anything, I feel like that goes against their training, because I worked at a deli for a little bit. Like, you know, we would cook up fried food, slice meats and cheeses, make sandwiches, and we, like, based on my employee training there, it's like a very similar situation to Costco. I would have never pointed somebody out and confronted the family. I would have just cleaned the dispensers, because what are you gonna do? Kick them out for, I mean, they didn't, like, break the law. So, no, the person that reported it just wanted them to clean it. They didn't do anything wrong, but this employee, I don't know what prompted them to make that decision. I don't know, maybe they were having a bad day or whatever else, but I feel like this goes completely against what they are trained to do. And on the jerk, the staff need to know so they can clean the dispensers. It's also not your job to parent that child. The staff should have handled this very discreetly so nobody knew who it was that reported their child. The staff member pointed straight at me when they asked who complained. Yeah, that feels like it's completely against code. Yeah, that's that's shocking. That's my main takeaway from this, is that the staff member would do that. That goes against everything I understand as a former service employee in the food industry. I would never do that. lackluster though, because all of these, they were clearly not in the wrong. You can see on the side there it says, let's go top past month and let's see. Hey, look, not. All these people, like, they're saying they're not. Alright, here we go. They said this person was the jerk. Am I the jerk for warning my brother's fiance her wedding dress might cause problems? My brother is getting married soon. His fiance chose a very revealing dress. It's low cut with a thigh-high slit and a sheer back. I'm all for people wearing what they want, but our family is quite conservative and opinionated, and this dress will cause a lot of drama, especially their grandparents. At a family dinner, I pulled her aside and gently suggested she might want to reconsider her choice, explaining the likely reactions from her older relatives. I made sure to clarify that I absolutely respect it's her choice and her special day, but wanted to at least warn her of what could happen. She got very upset and said it's her wedding, she'll wear whatever she wants. My brother's not mad at me, he's even trying to control their wedding. Some of my family members think I was just looking out for her, while others say I overstepped. I see it both ways. The problem really is that in the lead up to a wedding, there's so much like stress that goes into the planning of everything that there's no way, I feel like, to really have a calm conversation. Now, they said that they respected her decision and they didn't say like, get a different dress, which that would be much more cut and dry. They're just like, hey, this might happen, and that feels different to me. Now, but it also feels like something that her fiance would probably also have mentioned to her, or maybe her, husband to be. The impetus is on him to bring that up, not you, because you're in the same family, Let's hear people say, gentle, you're the jerk. The time to mention it would have been before she went shopping. I agree, that makes sense. If she already picked out the dress, she's likely both emotionally and financially invested. Not something she can easily change. I actually completely agree with that. The groom should have discussed it with her before the shopping. Yeah, actually, that's what I kind of said earlier. The impetus was on her husband. Like that person said. Let's see what else. I was trying to see, what else happened, if there's any updates or anything. Yeah, it feels 50-50 to me. I personally probably wouldn't have mentioned something like that if I was in that person's shoes, but I can understand why they did. Although, like I said, I feel like the husband-to-be should have been the one to bring that up, or maybe mention it to the husband to have him talk to her instead of you doing it. That's my opinion, but let me know in the comments down below what you thought of these tales. Who did you think was in the wrong or was not in the wrong? I'd be interested to hear what you guys think. Anyways, if you liked the video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. And until next time, guys.